Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day, a wonderful Sunday. Feels weird to say happy Sunday, but I don't normally analyze charts on Sundays, but had a little downtime. We're just kind of waiting for our little guy to be born here the next week or two. So if I ever disappear in the near future for a couple of days, you'll know what happened. But future reference here, I generally like to analyze charts daily, consistently, and of course, Sunday is usually my day off. So just jumping in here because there's a tremendous amount of inquiries regarding this coin. So we're going to take a look at liquidation levels and just kind of understand best practice for situations like this here when the price action pumps and really doesn't look back. Okay, so again, there's definitely good ways to approach this. Just keep in mind with the charts and how skewed they are with this short-term movement so quickly. We're going to have to rely on different things outside of just traditional technical analysis. It'll have to be overextension and key support and fib levels, potentially even Elliott wave as well if that comes about. So future reference, that's kind of what we're looking at there. And if you are new to the channel, welcome aboard. I hope you can learn something today. Comment below if you get a chance, and we look forward to working with you if you want. CryptoCash.tech is a site. Link down below if you want to become part of our trading academy, community, or signals group. So take a look here at Bitcoin, Binance exchange for Trump coin. We can see here there's a lot of liquidation at this range at about 55, down as low as about 51, okay? So 55 is kind of that heavy concentration. That makes sense though. A lot of folks will take longs when they buy the dips, and their stop loss and or liquidation event is just below that. So that's why you typically see these liquidation events occur below the local lows or above local highs, okay? Now again, keep in mind this high block capital doesn't have Trump coin for it. Normally I would provide for you a little bit more data, but there isn't anything like that available. So I'm just kind of using CoinGlass here quickly to get you some perspective, but that pretty much is the gist of it there, right? There's not much really else that we can kind of see here, because even though there is some liquidation above the price action, it's kind of small compared to this large chunk here down below. So just keep in mind, just above, just below the local high and local low, we're going to see that kind of liquidation forming. So we do potentially have some liquidation events above the price action here, and then of course below as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. I'll update a playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, or Discord if you're not familiar. It looks something like this here, where I kind of give you insight on coins that I'm planning to cover and trade, and those are all there available for you. But the simple way to understand it here is that liquidation is both above and below the price. And we got, what again, liquidation here at the $50 to $52 mark. Okay, cool. So we'll mark that later here. We're also going to provide some fib levels here to give us understanding of extensions. If the price continues higher, where's it going to go? Keep in mind I have my fib levels reversed right now, so if you're trying to draw out the same scenario, it's going to look a little funky. But if you double click on the fib levels, you can go ahead and hit select reverse here. I have that available or enabled right now because I just covered Solana, and folks were asking how much higher it's going to go based on Fibonacci extensions, and the same thing here with Trump. Instead of using Fibonacci extension tool, I simply reverse the fibs on the local low to local high, and that's essentially how I'm getting that. So please understand, if we're to see the price continue higher, based on common areas of retracement, we should see $93 as that next rough estimate of retracement if the price were to continue higher. So it might look something like this, right? Where it breaks the local high and the retest and retest that level, okay? All right, so that's kind of where we're at there. Let's go ahead and look at the daily and work our way down now that we got all that preface aside, and just recognize that there is a fair value gap down pretty low here. I think the probability of that getting filled is super low, but you got to recognize that the majority of these people here buying at this lower price point are those who have a lot of money. They're probably not people like you and I. Even though I'm sure you probably got in at that point, we don't have enough volume generally, unless it's like a super massive Reddit post kind of thing here, or Reddit community that pumps the price, right? Generally speaking, these right here are people like you and I. This is more retail. So just know that the fair value gaps exist, and they are typically swept at some point or another because of the fact that market makers will take their profit eventually. So this could be one of those things. In fact, somebody posted in my community here, what was it? Was it Bitcoin chat here? Oh, actually, I got it right here. I didn't really read this here, but there is potential problems with this coin here, and if it is something, if there's controversy, allegations, insider trading, and all that, if that is really a thing, just know that we could very well see this price point. Once more, I trade mostly on technical analysis, but you got to keep in mind stuff like this is completely fundamental in a lot of ways, and sometimes the TA doesn't matter too much when it comes to that. Where the TA matters is support and resistance levels and areas of interest where people have like a psychological understanding of what feels good and what doesn't, right? And that's based on relative strength and so things we're going to look at here. So let's take a look here. First of all, daily time frame is going to look a little funky. Again, we look at moving averages; they're going to be way behind. Like the 20-day estimate is down at $7. That doesn't make any sense. It's going to take a while for that to naturalize. Same thing as well with the RSIs, etc. So I really don't want to take the daily time frame into consideration because it's just kind of a flawed statistic. 4-hour time frame is also pretty flawed just because it's so low, or we have so low data. We've got what, maybe 24 hours ish. What we got, yeah, that's basically 28 hours of continuation here, or price action ever since the the ICO essentially for this coin. Having said that, though, we can kind of see RSIs here up over 70. You generally don't short into that. Okay, so common practice when RSI gets up over 70, which it did so quickly based on how fast it moved. Again, this is slightly flawed, but relatively accurate in the sense of it's overbought, and the likelihood of the price action continuing higher is actually greater, believe it or not, because it's overbought and we have this kind of this craze that's going on right now. All that being said, though, generally best practice for selling profit is to wait for the RSI to come back down, because a lot of times what will happen is the RSI will continue higher again, and the price will continue with it, of course, because as the price continues to go sideways, people are starting to FOMO in now. We're starting to get the late retailers here getting in there like, oh shoot, inauguration's tomorrow. We're going to jump in. We're going to pump this coin. While it could and probably should continue higher, based on that, you got to recognize there's an inherent risk the more you put in at higher price points. So I don't want to compare this to like GameStop or AMC or anything, but it has that feeling to it because of the fundamental catalyst pushing it. So just know that there's something that naturally happens eventually, and the price action will come back down to realistic standards. We just don't know what that is yet. So the best practice for situations like this is to slowly increase your stop loss into profit. So just so you got in at $36, move it to 43, 49, just below the local low to ensure the price does come down and it hits that level, even if you might get stopped out before it takes off. You walk away in profit. Again, the key takeaway in this market, folks, is to be profitable. It's not to post online how stinking awesome you think you are because you post a high leverage trade that's super high risk, and people like myself are rolling our eyes when we see it, right? It doesn't do any good. Obviously, it's great if it increases your spot bag, but if you do so correctly, it's not really the proper way, because you're going to start thinking that, hey, this is how crypto really is. Crypto is all about getting rich quick, right? Not true. I mean, it can happen, but that's not what should happen, right? I've been in this market for quite a while, and I can tell you it's very lucrative if you secure profit frequently and you actually trade with realistic expectations. Go. Anyways, I say that because I got a lot of newer traders joining my community and/or being part of this of my community, my group, whatever it is. I got a lot of different facets there, but with there being a lot of new traders in my community, it's important for them to recognize that the way that people talk about crypto nowadays is just like, it is sensationalized, it's outrageous, and I just don't really think that is how trading is. Anyways, quickly to note here, on the hourly, we can see a pattern starting to form here. This isn't like phenomenal or amazing, but it is a type of pennant pattern that typically will break to the upside. Okay, so a lot of times these patterns do so because they're establishing higher lows and lower highs, but they're derived from the downside, and they're more likely to break out because as the RSI starts to cool off, people start to feel like they're going to miss out on this opportunity. It takes off and squeezes any of those late shorts. Okay, so I think the probability of further upside makes a lot more sense here. And once more, if it does push and break through this upper liquidation range, we're probably going to see somewhere in the range of 93, basically 77 and 93. When we reevaluate this coin here again soon, we'll have more data based on liquidation. We'll be able to get more specifics. I actually sent a request to High Block Capital as well to see if they can add Trump coin as well, so we can get more relevant data for this coin. Other than that, though, the hourly time frame is going to confirm that we are 100% bullish. There's no reason to consider shorting. I don't care if the price goes down to $35. You should not short this coin. It doesn't make any sense. It's one of those situations that it's overly bought right now, which you would assume would pull back, but this strange, unique, crazy phenomenon in crypto just allows coins to continue further higher without regard. Again, keep in mind Solana network's cranking right now because of this coin here as well. So a lot of those things are correlated. And while I do think they should pull back naturally, I don't think it's worth the risk in trying to short it. It doesn't make any sense. Again, if you're going to consider shorting, I totally get it. Just make sure it's a low leverage, low position size. But with everything we see here so far, there's too many bullish indicators to let us know that taking a short position is viable. I like to trade with high success. Again, I'm not perfect by any stretch, had to close out more trades this month than I'd like to admit. A lot of them early with invalidation before we hit our stop loss, which is also very conservative, by the way. But for the most part, trading 75, 85% success rate on average per month with my entries to targets, right? So that all comes because I'm generally patient and I wait for confirmation. Okay. Now it's not exact science. I miss out on a ton of opportunities, so please understand that. I'm not going to FOMO into most coins. Right now, if I were to consider a trade, I would consider a trade to the upside. I would wait for fib levels to be retested. We can see this range here, 0.65, $56 to $58 seems like a very appropriate place to consider a long. It may not happen though, okay? Or it could happen quickly and can keep going lower, because you got to recognize there are still fair value gaps down here, and there is this liquidation range at $49 to $50. So my recommendation here is to wait for a consideration at 58, and secondary that, when that lower liquidation range is swept, about low 52 to 51, I think it was. Is that right? So you're 55 to 51, yeah. So generally speaking, liquidation ranges are swept. So wouldn't be surprised if we see one of these here, and then the price just recovers as soon as all the late longs are destroyed. Okay, that's generally how it works. So don't use high leverage. Don't be another statistic. Use realistic leverage. Don't try to get rich quick on this coin. And while you're going to see there's a lot of people out there that are bragging about how rich they are because of it, there's a factor of luck involved too, right? So never be one of those persons that puts way too much into one thing. Diversify. It's important to do that. Okay, cool. I told you so. Just kidding. Anyways, there's a good chance that I'm going to be completely wrong and off base here and the price just goes bonkers in either direction. But the best practice hopefully is helpful. I'm going to post our playout chart in our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, giving you some indications on what direction I feel it might head. Something along these lines here. This is Solana's chart too as well, by the way. And just some things to kind of help consider, right? So please check it out. Be a responsible trader. And again, it's not what you do that defines you. It's why you do what it is that makes you, who you are, right? So try to remember that when you are trading or posting online and showing how, good, bad, or indifferent you are. We are all in this together. You should be trading for yourself, not for anyone else, but you should also be joining together with other folks to try to increase your odds of success. And that's generally what we do in our Discord and or just our community. It's really awesome. So greatly appreciate anyone and all who are part of that. If you are part of my community, make sure you read through my trade alerts. I give you heads up on coins and trades I'm planning to take. And of course, our signals guide too. Make sure you understand how the signals work, right? There's no, you should make sure always use your own risk tolerance, okay? Simple as that. But my community will help you develop that. Lastly too, make sure you join us at Bitunix too, link down below. No KYC or VPN required, phenomenal bonuses every month. All you have to do is use my link to register, and then no KYC or VPN for these guys too. They're pretty awesome. Thanks again, Bitunix, and thank you too for being an amazing part of my life. We'll see you soon. Take care.